Hello and welcome along to my Teamsport London Docklands track guide. I'm going to be going through the line that I take and some tips and tricks for anyone new to the circuit or to indoor karting in general. So we like Docklands because it's a fast track. There are overtaking opportunities that don't require hustling your way through as much as some of the other tracks, and so we generally have a good time here without too much drama. But I am going to go through a few things that you can take note of to help your experience, to help you have a good time. So first of all, we're going to run through the line. So we're going to come up to these double chicanes here. After these and after the banked corner is where our time will start. So we are starting the lap basically here. Now, first of all, we're in one of the fastest sections of the track. We are approaching this interesting corner, which has a small curve up to quite a big angle. We kind of go like that. So we're looking for our braking point is around here. When we get in line with this, you're probably going to want to start slowing down before that when you're new. This is the reference I use, but I brake quite late and under control. Now, what I like to do is I head towards the barrier to keep the car level, to keep the weight even across the axle, so I can slow down the car the maximum amount I can before taking the corner. If you're turning at this point and then you start braking, that's where you're going to lose the back of the car and you're going to start to slide. I brake, I keep it as straight as I possibly can while I do as much of my braking as I can. And then I'll ease off the brake and I'll turn in. And this applies to the majority of places where you need to brake in karting. Keeping the platform of your car level and the maximum amount of grip mean that you can brake later and scrub off more speed in a shorter distance. So we do exactly that here, and we keep it nice through here, and then we're full throttle out of these corners all the way around. We keep it absolutely full throttle, and then up to our next corner here, we're going to be about 3/4 of the way across the right hand side of the track. And again, I brake and I bring the car slower in as short amount of time as possible. Now, there are some drivers that will take it super wide and they say they don't brake. Maybe they just lift. I've tried 2 complete sessions of this and I personally lose time by doing it that way. I can lift and we can get around this corner without braking. It's quite tricky to stop the cart from understeering, but you can do it. But even the times where we've managed to do it nicely, I am still losing time on this section compared to the way I normally do it. So I'm going to carry on doing it this way until I know any better. So we brake as late as possible. Again, we scrub off a little bit of speed we need to, and then we roll it into this corner. We look for this second marker on the floor. This is where we want to aim for to get the maximum run out of this corner onto the next apex, because we want a late apex, this next one, to carry as much speed around as possible. So late apex there, and we again full throttle. Now this is an important section because you need to carry as much speed through up the mezzanine. Now this is another interesting one, that we don't want to be right on this apex here because it will make the rest too tight for the speed we're going and you end up scrubbing off too much speed. So we want to leave about half a cart's gap. Don't leave too much gap if you've got someone behind you, because they will throw their nose up the inside of you and most time it's just going to end in contact. They might hustle their way through and you lose a position. So don't leave more than a car's width here. But you definitely don't want to be on the apex. The fastest way around this corner is to be a little bit off the apex like this. and then we aim to get the second corner as close as possible to these tyres here. And then we're going to be aiming for here to get straight down the ramp. So just like this. And then down the ramp, we're all the way over the right-hand side, exactly where we should be. This marker on the floor where it transitions from the mezzanine to the corner is a great indicator for where we want to brake. I tend to brake just as my rear wheels hit it. But it does depend. Sometimes you might want to brake as your front wheels hit it. It can depend on the cart. Same as the mezzanine section. It can depend on your car as to what the best course of action is. But in an ideal situation, you'll be braking about when your rear wheels are hitting this, and you'll turn into and try an apex around here. Now, in this example, I think I broke slightly late, or the cart was probably still a bit cold. So I did have a little slide here, and that would have lost me some time. So we'd try not to slide as much as possible. Now onto this one. This is where our braking reference point is, this pole here. Again, you know, you don't necessarily have to wait until you get right on it, but I will sort of try and wait until I'm level with this to brake. Again, I will scrub off as much speed. You see I'm still not turning for the corner. I'm currently braking as hard as I can in a straight line to try and scrub off as much speed. Now, something that I have noticed is some of the lighter weights will rotate the cart around here and use the slide of the cart to help it rotate around the corner, and that seems to work for them fine. But being a middleweight, I find that that doesn't help. With the heavier weight, it takes you a bit longer to get going again. So as a middleweight or a heavyweight, I advise keeping the cart under control rather than deliberately sliding it out at this point. So just like this, we then take the second chicane, just like so. And then for this corner, we're basically, again, we're leaving a bit of a gap. We don't want to be right in here, but don't leave too much of a gap that allows someone to poke their nose up, because that's where you will end up losing the position, because they will come out of this corner and they will block you from your run out of there. And then you've got to try and overtake them again on that straight as you go across the start. So try not to leave more than half a cart gap here if you've got someone pushing behind. If you haven't, you can afford to be a little bit higher up on the banking. It will give you a little bit of a faster run off down the straight. So we've experimented with all this. If you're too high up on the banking, you're losing too much speed going up it, and you will end up slower across the line, even though you end up at a faster speed come the corner at the end. You will be slower when you cross the finish line. So bear that in mind, that the ideal line around this is keeping it in the middle. Use this bit of damage track as a marker. Keep the middle of your cart over that. Then we're going to turn as sharp as we can and use the banking to push us down that and give us the best run up out of this corner. Just like this. Okay, so that's it. That's our lap complete. So we're just going to do a few more corners and watch this before we're going to go into a clip where there is some overtaking and some other less experienced people on the track. So we get plenty of overtaking opportunities, plenty of chances to filter through people without having to have contact. Just remember that karting is a non-contact sport. You don't get told off probably as much as you should do at these public sessions. I think the staff know that people are inexperienced and contact happens, but in a proper scenario, you won't get away with hardly any contact whatsoever. You will be penalised for it. So it's good practice to make sure that you don't make a habit of putting yourselves in situations where there's going to be contact. Making dives that you're never going to make is a good one, and you can just ruin your own race and you can ruin someone else's race. So we're all here to have fun. Sometimes you're better off to stay behind someone for one more corner if it means you can get the move done without any risk of wiping yourself or someone else out. So To explain this session, there's a whole group now that are about to be let out over the next couple of laps. I think they missed their briefing, so the session started without them. So we're just getting them released out on us now. They're going to come out. So we didn't really know what to expect. We knew that they were probably inexperienced just by the fact that they missed their briefing and stuff. So we just have to work people out. When you're coming across people, you need to work out as quick as possible how they're driving and what you think they're going to do so you can plan the best route around them. And there's plenty of times where people can be unpredictable, so you've really got to concentrate and work people out. Look at them, as soon as you start seeing someone like this guy, work out how he's driving, what he's going to be doing, how well he's driving, how fast he's keeping pace around the corners. We're not catching up with him super quick, so we know that he's going in at least the right places. He's on the right line at least, but we are significantly faster, so we are going to look for an opportunity to overtake. So he doesn't do too bad of a job around here, just a little bit slower. We have a little look up the inside, but we're not fast enough at this point really to throw up the inside. We would have ended up taking us both out, but he does pull over here, let us by, so we thought. He nearly runs us into the tyres, but we get through, no problem there. So now we're coming back up past the start line again. They're still letting people out, as we can see, so we're just going to be aware of that. And this guy comes out, fresh out on track. We just buzz past him. He's just come out. There's no issue there. This one in the blue, we can see they're going pretty slow, so we've got to work out where they're going to be when we get up to them to work out what to do. So again, we'll just throw up the inside at this point, and we've got a yellow light there, which is the first time we saw that. So we'll just come to a controlled slow. There's no need to stamp on the anchors when a yellow light comes out, but just make sure that you slow down and get your car under control at all times in case there's someone on the track or a crashed car. And then we get shown a red light. So whenever you visit Teamsport, you will go through this procedure when on your first session, they will do a yellow light and they'll do a red light, just to make sure you're understanding of the lights and flags, and then they'll get you going again. So obviously, as this was already halfway through a session, half the people have only just been let out. So that was for their benefit. So off we go again. We're looking at our next person. Again, we're already trying to work out how they're driving, where they're going to be, when we're going to catch them up, all them sort of things you've got to be thinking about all the time. So you can already plan exactly what you're doing. And again, we can see that they're moving at an okay pace again. They're in the right places of the track, so it's not going to be a case of buzzing past them quite so easily. We have a look, they're a bit scrappy there. We've got loads of pace here, so we just throw it up the inside. We make that apex first, so we steal that corner. There's no contact, and it's all good. This guy here, I think he left his sat nav at home, doesn't quite know where he's going. He'll be all right. He'll work it out. And then this one was another one you can't see on the camera, but we buzz past. We leave loads of room. We left enough room on the inside if they were there, but instead they just didn't brake, and they nearly T-boned us. Can't see it on the camera, but that's what happened. So it's at this point I knew that these people are obviously quite new around here. They don't know the track and they don't know where to brake. I don't think that one was deliberate, but we avoided it all the same. So now this guy, this is an interesting one. So this guy here, we buzz past him, we give him plenty of space, and he comes straight across us and, yeah, wipes himself out into the barrier. There's something that I want to look at closer here and talk about, because we posted this video and it's got quite a lot of views on a few platforms. And it was my opinion that he done it deliberately. It's still my opinion that this was deliberate, and I'm going to go through the reasons now. First of all, at this point, he is just pretty much coasting on the throttle. He's not, he spun out on that last corner, but he still would have been going faster than this at this point. I could hear. I don't know whether you can hear it on the camera or not as well, but I could hear that his engine was pretty much coasting. And as we get up next to him, he actually turns and looks at us. Now, you can't see it as well in the camera again, but my peripheral vision is a little bit better than what the camera sees. So there's quite a lot of times I'll see something and then go back to the camera and you can't see it in the camera. But he looks straight at us. He literally dead eyes us at this point. And then as we come past him, he slams on the accelerator. And I hear his car open up. So I know at this point that he is now going to put himself in a situation that it's not going to be good for this corner. So as we get to here, I leave him absolutely bundles of room to make sure that if he is going to try and come round, then I'm not going to cut him off because he's just going to ram into me and that's going to be messy. So I leave him absolutely bundles of room, and then he comes here and look, at this point he still isn't even turning. You know, you could be inexperienced, but you know that you need to turn around the corner. You know, you could make the turn badly, you could spin out, you could brake too hard and spin. But at this point, he was still on the throttle. I could hear his engine was still opened up, and he didn't even make any attempts to turn. Now, he was thinking, in my opinion, that we would have been more like here at this point, which we would have been if we didn't see this coming. So I gave a super wide line. I travelled more of the track. And you can see that I'm turning for this corner here. But to avoid contact, I actually opened up the steering wheel completely. And I'm now heading for the tyres myself, just to give us enough space to avoid a contact here. Otherwise, we would have been right in the side of him. So I opened up the steering wheel, I chapped the brake a little bit, and I let him just wipe himself out in front of us. And he did make a really good effort at headbutting the tyres there. So he definitely got a thumbs up of approval for me for that effort. And he'll probably be a bit sore in the morning, to be honest, after that. And I will say as well that he got black flagged for this. He got pulled back in the pits for a chat. I'm not entirely sure if he ever came back out on track. I would have to check his number. What number was he even? Oh, it's number 1. Okay. Didn't realise he was number 1. So I think we do go past him again later on. But he got pulled into the pits for a chat and some re-education. So obviously it wasn't just me assuming things. So we carry on anyway. Going up to our next person. We're gaining on them fast. And then we get a red flag. So nice controlled stop. One of the other group have buried themselves in the tyre. So we get going again in a minute. We cut a little tiny section out because it went green and then it went back to yellows again almost immediately. So let's get back going from the yellows. We look for a way around this number 10. We see that he's closing off that side. So we just switch it over. Right up the mezzanine. Keep it tight to make sure he's got plenty of room around the outside. And away we go. That was not a bad job of that downhill section of the mezzanine. So we're already catching up with our next contender. See, we're not far away from them at this point, considering they're going a bit slower. They seem to be in all the right places. So again, it's not a bad job. Nice and wide around there. So this is the guy that's doing an okay job along here. And it does take us a while to catch up with him, to be fair. And this is another interesting one, is he just broke for that corner. And we weren't expecting him to break for that corner. We've actually followed him around this corner earlier in this video, and he didn't slam on the anchors there. He went round it absolutely fine, really. So this is where you have to be aware of people being a little bit unpredictable. He's anchored up, and where I want to be turning right here, I'm still straight, and I'm trying to then avoid contact. Now, trust me when I say plenty of people would have just rammed straight into him at this point. It's why the members sometimes have a bit of a bad stigma about them, because it tends to be members that bully people, and we try not to be those guys. So I've broke. I've kept the platform of the kart level again. I've slowed down. We've avoided contact very narrowly. We've thrown ourselves out wide, but we didn't hit him. We kept the contact off. We've kept the momentum of the car going, and we are free to fight another day. So we're going to look for another opportunity after this corner, and he decides to pull over for us again. And again, this is something that I'd like to talk about. You don't have to pull over for people. We're all here to race. That's what we're here for. We're on the same session. If you are new, don't worry about it. Just drive your line. We'll find a way around it. There's an interesting situation that I found myself in on a couple of occasions last time we visited here, and it was both times people actually moved out of my way, but instead of moving out of my way, they moved directly into my path, and we ended up having a bit of contact. And this was purely because I plotted my route around them off the racing line, and they moved across to actually let me over. And you don't need to do that. It's fine if you want to move over and you don't want people breathing down your neck. That's absolutely fine. Again, but don't feel obliged to move out of people's way. Let the more experienced racer find their way around you. Some people will just bash you. Unfortunately, some members are assholes, but the good racers will just plot their way around you nice and smoothly. So don't worry about moving out of people's way if you don't want to. We will get past you, don't worry. So come up to our next one, moving up to this one super quick, so we know we're going to go and pass this one, and it's our friend in number one again. So obviously he was a bit over the place, but at least he managed to turn for that corner. Please note. So plenty of room around there. We got a little bit of understeer around that one, ended up a little bit wide, but we're not putting in any fastest laps in this occasion anymore because there's so much traffic on the track. So we're just having a bit of fun. We're practicing our overtaking ourselves. That's why we don't mind if you don't move out of the way, because we're here to practice as well. We're practicing our overtakes. This guy had spun out on this corner, so obviously going to be moving a bit slow. So we nip up the inside of him here. And that is the end of this session. So we're just going to go to another clip in a second. Okay, so the last clip I want to show is actually following someone around that is fast around here. His cart was a little bit slidey. I'm going to be honest, it was the beginning of the session. The cart was sliding around a bit more than it would have normally been, so he was sliding around a little bit more. It just gave us a chance to be all over him and give a little example of an overtake when you're overtaking someone that is fast normally. He's made a little mistake. He slid it around this corner. We've taken an alternate line. We've done the old switcheroo and we've done the job done with absolutely no contact. So we're going to have another look at that again and actually analyse what's happened here. Now he's turned in. He's probably ended up carrying a little bit too much speed into this corner. His tyres weren't up to temperature. It was the beginning of the session, so not holding anything against him for this one. He got a little bit of a slide on, but it was just this point that we knew that he would be slow out of the corner. So we can start to plan our attack on him. So straight away, we're over all the way to the left more than we have to be. We'd normally be up on the inside, up with him here. Something that you've got to think about, though, is if you had someone else behind you trying to overtake you because you might have been getting held up by traffic in front, they would be throwing it down here right now. And they're going to pin themselves to the back of this cart and you're not getting through. Even if you do the old switcheroo, they're probably going to be able to take a little bit of a slightly tighter line because they didn't make the error here where he's coming here. They'll be coming here and we're coming out wide here. So if you've got someone behind you pushing you, be very wary about making this move. And that's general everywhere, on every track, on every overtake. There's many times where you'll go for an alternate line to make an overtake move and someone will just say thank you very much and jump in that gap. So if there was someone there behind, we would want to be a lot closer to the barrier. We would probably be about here, not leaving a car's width here for someone to dive in. All you've got to do is just make sure that when you're leaving these gaps, just make sure they're less than a cart's width. If someone can't get their nose in, then you've kept it safe. But in this case, we had no one behind us, so we went for a switcheroo. We left maybe a little bit more space than we had to. We could have been, another foot closer here and done the switch across his back, but he actually recovered faster than I thought he would. And number 11 is a fast cart, so he did recover faster. So we was left more gap than we needed to, but we got the job done nice and smooth on the inside and no problems there. So to wrap it up, we're just going to look at my flying lap. This is a 45-second flat lap with no edits and no stopping. So we just get the feel now we've gone through everything, the flow of the track, keeping it all nice and smooth, braking in a straight line, rolling it into the corners without scrubbing. And the only place that you really acceptable to scrub on this track is this top mezzanine section. You have to be aggressive around here. You throw it in. I had a tiny little snap of opposite lock to keep it under control on there, but everywhere else we keep it very calm, very controlled, very smooth, and then we come around for the finish of the lap. So we're going to wrap it up here. If you like the content, what we've done here today, this is the first time I've done something like this. Let us know. If you hated it, then let us know. If you want us to do more, then let us know. We can also do other tracks. We've been to plenty. I do have footage of Basildon, Crawley, Brighton from the BIKC regional finals last year. Harlow we go to sometimes, but we do prefer Docklands. So hopefully this has been interesting for you and helpful. But let us know either way, and we will make more if it ends up being useful.